Warning: the following video may contain harsh language, crude humor, and may offend unintentionally, and is an affiliate of Scythering Productions. The opinions and comments expressed do not reflect those of the Scythering team. All credit and criticism shall be warranted to TWS Productions. Viewer discretion is advised.
Wrestling fans, and welcome to That Wrestling Show. Well, a lot of news that's been hitting for the last 2 weeks, and believe it or not, it was kind of hard to shuffle it around. A lot of Twitters and interviews back and forth. We're not going to talk about that here. So why don't we get into the news of the week? According to reports, and this is no surprise here, Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff are actually staying with TNA. Rumor has it that they actually wanted to seal this deal prior to the Bound for Glory pay-per-view. Yes, those of you that thought that Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff were leaving TNA, yeah, I hate to say that I told you so, but I told you so. Hulk Hogan still has to milk that cow for all the money it can before he leaves. Now, some of you are Hogan fans and say, hey, at least he's still doing something, but yeah, if you've heard the interviews he's given lately about guys like Robert Roode and AJ Styles, the fact that Hulk Hogan backs Jeff Hardy over both of them, yeah, there's an issue there. Believe it or not, while some feel that Punk's push is actually over and done now in WWE, that is so far from the truth. Believe it or not, Punk actually stands in the top 5 of merchandise sales, actually for the first time in 5 years, outselling John Cena. It seems that even though Punk hasn't really had much to do in the main event picture in the most recent of months, it appears that even though he's making money and selling merchandise, well, he's still a made man. So yes, WWE kind of opens their cards a little bit and shows them off, saying it's all about the merchandise. Talent? No, it's all about the money. Yeah, well, what would you expect? So those of you that are wondering why CM Punk hasn't really performed at a high caliber in the main event, well, he had Hell in a Cell, and he did have the main event with Triple H, and he did have, SummerSlam. Just don't expect him to be world champion anytime soon. WWE, believe it or not, has removed their live events section on their website, as there were some people that were actually posting nude pictures of China. Yes, believe it or not, the live events section, which is where you can go onto WWE.com, and when you go to a live event and post pictures of your live interaction, yeah, people were posting nude pictures of China. Needless to say, yeah, that's gross. Many speculate that Gail Kim will actually be returning to TNA very, very soon, now that her WWE contract is officially up. Well, Gail Kim, needless to say, well, WWE didn't do anything with you the first time, they didn't do anything with you the second time. Enjoy your stint in TNA while that shit lasts. Spike TV Senior Vice President Brian Diamond is no longer with the network. The problem with this, though, is that with him being out of the network, that means that TNA lost one of their big supporters. In fact, the new guy that they hired actually wants to refocus on 4 different categories: MMA, extreme sports, lifestyle, and, well, some other one. Needless to say, TNA doesn't fit in any of those categories. This is bad for TNA. This is really, really bad for TNA. Especially since their big-time supporter is kind of no longer with Spike. And seeing as how Spike is getting rid of the Ultimate Fighter pretty soon, or at least this guy, the new guy, might say otherwise, TNA might be going bye-bye, and, well, UFC might be staying. Some sources say, now don't panic, that John Morrison will not be re-signing with WWE once his contract is over. But believe it or not, and this is actually, well, take this with a grain of salt. Believe it or not, Many say that, well, while it's not confirmed that John Morrison is or isn't returning to WWE or going to be re-signing, it has nothing to do with any kind of backstage banter or anything that he did wrong. In fact, many people are stating that it has something to do with the person he's kind of sort of with, who mentioned on Twitter that, well, sometimes I have to give my toys to the less fortunate. John Morrison might not be re-signing with WWE. The one guy that everyone likes, he's so over, he's so flashy, he's so confident, he's just such a great performer, he's everything you could possibly want in a WWE performer. He's not that great on the mic, but come on now. I mean, that's really no reason to punish anybody. I mean, Randy Savage was slapping Miss Elizabeth around and he was world champion twice. Hell, he was an Intercontinental Champion for Christ's sake, but just because that one of your performers has kind of an on-again, off-again, on-again, off-again, on-again, off-again relationship with a diva that kind of causes trouble, you punish him? That's kind of the reason why they're punishing Drew McIntyre. I don't really think that that's kind of a necessary punishment to necessarily bury the guy because of someone he's dating. I mean, come on, that's just not the way to go. I mean, WWE, that's not cool. But if John Morrison leaves, there's going to be a lot of fans that are going to be pissed, to say the least. Rumor has it that Mil Mascaras is actually going to be attending SmackDown during the live tour of Mexico. Is he going to do anything? We don't know for sure, but keep your eyes open. You never know. And the last bit of news that we got this week, Evan Bourne is actually slated to have suffered a stinger at the hands of Jack Swagger from Monday Night Raw. There's no severity or official claim on how bad the stinger is, but those of you that are wondering, Jack Swagger did drop Evan Bourne really bad on his neck on Monday Night Raw, and his injury was legit. Now, granted, it is a stinger, and I know that that's what Stone Cold Steve Austin had many years ago, which kind of cut his career in half. The question is Evan Bourne going to be okay? Well, we shall see. We hope this isn't the end of Evan Bourne's career. It probably won't be, but you never know. And that's going to do it all for the news portion. Well, why don't we get into a, little sub-portion here, better known as the breakdown. The real idea behind the breakdown now is, there's been a lot of things going on with WWE lately, a lot of things that people are with and against, a lot of things that people are kind of going for and kind of not going for. And the real question is WWE starting to lose its steam a little bit? Now, with the whole Raw Super Show idea and the whole SmackDown kind of having the meh kind of appeal, kind of makes you wonder what's the whole reasoning behind watching SmackDown. Is SmackDown starting to drop? Is Raw starting to decline? Is everyone on Raw? Well, it's kind of a situation that we bump into every single week on the chat room. SmackDown is, let's face it, it's a tape show. It's not necessarily the best thing to watch these days. It's fun, yeah, but if you miss it, you miss it. There are some thoughts that it's possible that WWE might be doing SmackDown live. Now, while I think that might be a better alternative, if you give it live, it gives the fans more of a chance, more of an opportunity to kind of tune in and be unsuspected. Kind of the bad part about having it being taped is you get spoilers. You get fans that attend on Tuesday and then they say, John Morrison, won the world title for Randy Orton. Yeah, right. But it's a spoiler. And it kind of ruins the mystique. It kind of ruins everything. And you can go on to WWE.com and they kind of sort of ruin it themselves. So if you have all the people from SmackDown on Monday Night Raw, what's the sense of watching SmackDown? It almost seems like they're trying to phase it out a little bit. Granted, the brand split is not necessarily 100% dead, but it is getting there. But now, why don't we get to the whole idea of how things have been going lately, and that's with the pay-per-views. It's kind of funny that the last pay-per-view that we had was Hell in a Cell, and that was actually, from what I've heard, it was actually a pretty decent pay-per-view. I watched it myself. It was actually pretty good. But the last two pay-per-views prior to that were kind of, You know what I mean? It was kind of strange how things were going. It makes you wonder, is WWE doing this all over again? Or does WWE essentially have something bigger planned in the box and we just don't know it? The real question is, are there going to be enough people watching these days, seeing as how people tend to be watching, and then not watching. WWE, a story came out that WWE was going to try to make more storylines where it would please the internet fans. But the better question is that really the way to go? You have to look at it from two kind of perspectives if you really think about it. If you just please the internet fans, you're kind of focusing on one demographic. However, if you don't please those internet fans, well, then they won't have any reason to bitch. WWE, let's face it, is going to progress like this, or like this, or like this, however they want for years to come. Whether or not we're watching it or not, they already have the new fans hooked. Does it have anything to do with Raw and SmackDown? Well, perhaps. I think with SmackDown going live, I think it might be a great push in the right direction. With this new WWE Network coming out, we'll see how that works out. I'm not 100% A-okay with it, but I'm not 100% no-go with it either. The real question is, where do we go from here? Does WWE need a reboot? Does WWE need to get back to basics? Or does WWE need to kind of do both at the same time? Does it need to get back to basics but with some innovation? It kind of makes you wonder if that's what they should do. And is there ever going to be any competition in professional wrestling? Well, with TNA not looking too good and ROH just starting to get off the ground, I think it'll be about another year or two before anything grand happens from WWE. Now, that doesn't mean stop watching. It just means watch cautiously. And that's going to do it all for this week's episode of That Wrestling Show. I thank everyone for watching and showing up at the chat room at the website at thatwrestlingshow.webs.com every Monday and every pay-per-view. Go down there, check it out. The chat room is free. Chat with myself and BM. We have a wonderful time. And until next time, I will see you then.